Hello. So we're live. Welcome to today's topic. It will be on sorry, medical malpractice in Kenya. And this is what I have for you guys. Illness and accidents will kill you as quickly as the Kenyan health system will. So that's my topic for today. I believe that Kenyan doctors, they have a problem, and it's a pretty huge problem, and they need to deal with it just as soon as possible for our sake, right? And then for their sake as well, because it will get back to them. I will deal with three topics: the case of misdiagnosis, that's one. I'll deal with universal healthcare, but just touching on it a bit because I dealt with it some time back. And then I'll deal with substandard health system. Just an overview of it. Again, the topic is illness and accidents will kill you as quickly as the Kenyan health system will. So that's what I have for today. Why did I come up with this topic? I came up with this topic because there's a friend of mine. She had an accident, and it was a pretty terrible accident. And she got injured, and as soon as she went to the doctors, they made a wrongful diagnosis because they wanted her to do that operation there so that they could receive money. Because if she didn't do it, if they did the right thing, she would go to another place and receive the proper treatment, and they wouldn't get money for that. So that's why I'm doing this topic today, because I felt very, very bad when my friend told me that. And then also I have a personal case of somebody I know who used to go to the doctors, and they made him more ill than he was. I was in up country some time back, and then one of the elderly people back in the country, they told me that drugs will kill you. They will kill you. Avoid them as much as possible. My advice is finish your doses, right? But then avoid medicine as much as you can, because that stuff will kill you. Anyway, just to start on the first point, the cases of misdiagnosis in Kenya. I tell you, going to a Kenyan hospital is scary. I am always afraid of it, even taking somebody there. Why? Because you can get disease before you actually, as you are there. You can go there taking somebody and you are not ill, but you can still get disease from there because they don't disinfect the areas, right? Because the Americans, there's a system where they disinfect, I think, using UV light. That's the latest system, right? Using UV light. And then you fear disease, right? Misdiagnosis is scary. Whenever you can go to Kenyan hospital, it's scary. You fear disease because of the costs more than the illness itself. Personally, I always fear the cost, right? Because I can't afford it. And that's what people usually say. We are only one disease away from poverty, because that thing costs. Then you fear the doctor's treatment more than the illness. I'll actually show you cases where the doctor's treatment, they were terrible, and they actually brought more problems than they solved. So anyway, that's what I wanted to speak about today. There's somebody called Francis Bacon. He wrote a book. It's called Of Seditions and Troubles. And this is what he said: the remedy is worse than the disease. Interesting thing about Francis Bacon was that he was the first Queen's Counsel appointed by Queen Elizabeth. Do you guys remember a Queen's Counsel appointed just the other day by the DPP? So this guy was the first Queen's Counsel. And what he said was that the remedy is worse than the disease. Sometimes the remedy is worse than the disease. So let us begin. Let us see. I have a story here. It's from the Standard. It's from 12th February 2018. And a woman was complaining, right, that one of her babies, she delivered, and she was expecting twins. And then they only give her one baby. So she asked, where is my other baby? Where have you taken her? And so the doctor said that she only had one baby. That the other baby was a misdiagnosis. Yes, they misdiagnosed. The scans, they misinterpreted the scans. So now imagine you're a woman, you're giving birth, you're expecting the second baby, and now they just give you one baby. What would go through your mind at that time? So this woman was scared. She felt cheated. And Kenyan, we have a history of taking away women's babies. But they did the investigation, and from the evidence they found that it was a misinterpretation of of the scans, and it was a fibroid that was there. It was not a baby. Imagine. So you are all the way preparing for two babies, you only find one. Anyway, I think it's shocking. So anyway, it's another case. There's a woman who had constipation, right? She had constipation, and she goes to the hospital. They want her to she wants to get rid of that constipation, and the doctor says that she has a cyst, CYST, right? And then they have to get it out quickly, and for them to do that, she has to go through a systemectomy or something. Any cystectomy, right? That's what she has to go through, and she has to go and see a gynecologist, and they have to do an operation. They opened up her abdomen, and then they found that there's no cyst. It was a misdiagnosis. So you go to a hospital for constipation, they end up opening your abdomen and finding that there's nothing there. That's the Kenyan system. The remedy is worse than the disease. So anyway, just to continue, there's another woman. This one I didn't get from the Standard, but one of the blogs. She went to the hospital, right? She actually worked at this hospital. It was Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, and she felt that something was wrong, so she went for a diagnosis. They say that she had breast cancer, and they amputated one of her breast, the left breast, right? That was in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County. But then the woman felt that, something was off. So she went to Aga Khan Hospital, and then she went to Nairobi Hospital. And what did they discover? She never had breast cancer. So her breast is gone. And the woman never had breast cancer. What would you say about that? You go to a hospital for constipation, they end up opening your abdomen. You're waiting for 2 babies, you only get 1 baby. What would you say? But that's the Kenyan system. So anyway, just to go to the statistics, right? These are just 3 cases. These are 2018 cases. Let's just go to an overview of the cases in Kenya. From 1987 to March this year, right? To March this year, 985 complaints were launched with the Kenya Medical and Practitioners Board. 985 cases. This is a country of, right now we have 50 million people, right? And from 1997 to last year, with all the people going for treatment, only 985 complaints were lodged. Only 985. Personally, I believe that there's a problem, because there are too many people, right? Too many illnesses for only 985 cases. 70 of those cases are pending. Only 70 of them are pending. 915 have been settled. They are over. They have investigated and they have determined what was the problem. 97% of those solved cases were solved at the preliminary inquiry committee. Preliminary level, right? They were sorted at the first level. So who knows? Perhaps these guys are good at checking out what the problem is and determining it and solving the problem immediately, because they only do it at that level. 97%. 2% at the National Tribunal level. 2% at the National Professional Conduct Committee. Only 4% moved past the preliminary stage in terms of investigations and in terms of determination, right? So perhaps they're doing a good job at that level. Let's see. Between 1997 to March this year, only 1 doctor in a nation of 50 million people has been deregistered by the medical board. Only 1 has been deregistered. So perhaps the other doctors, they are doing a fine job. There are no cases of negligence that would warrant a deregistration of a doctor, because only 1 was deregistered past 2 decades. 4 doctors had their licenses cancelled. So that's 5 doctors who have been disciplined in 2 decades. 6 had their licenses suspended for 6 or 12 months. So they go back to their trade. So perhaps what they did wasn't that bad. So only 5 doctors did something so bad that they couldn't operate anymore. Only 5 in 2 decades in Kenya. 16 were sent for supervision training, 106 were ordered to go through continuous professional development. So it seems our doctors are doing a very fine job. That these cases of babies missing, these cases of going for constipation and you end up having an abdomen operation, that these cases where a breast is amputated, perhaps these cases are not that serious because only one doctor has been deregistered, 4 licenses cancelled. Perhaps we're doing good. Anyway, let me go to universal healthcare. It sounds good, but it is not. Again, Francis Bacon, the remedy is worse than the disease. Because we're saying that there's a problem in the health sector. Let's give people free healthcare. Would that work? Let's see. Ronald Reagan, he said this: a socialist is someone who has read Lenin and Marx. And an anti-socialist is someone who understands Lenin and Marx. So just to put it in perspective, a person who supports universal healthcare is a person who has heard about it. A person who is anti-universal healthcare is a person who understands it. That is how I would rephrase this Reagan philosophy. So just a bit about Reagan. He was a Hollywood actor. He went and became the head of a labor union for actors. He turned from Democrat to Republican, and he was the oldest president to take office before Donald Trump. He did economics and sociology, and he graduated with a C grade. C. Right? Anyway, just why I'm pointing out these facts. In Kenya, we say that you cannot succeed unless you have a university degree and all of those things. People have to be years in politics and everything. This guy was a Hollywood actor. And he became president of the United States. This guy was able to change his mind because he saw the Democrats, they were not leading him anywhere. And Democrats, they proposed things like this, universal healthcare. He became a Republican because he saw the error of these ways. He understood what they meant, what they stood for. And that's why he turned away from the Democrats. He was not afraid of going after what he believed was true. Thank you, Mayor watching from Lamu Town. Thank you. He was not afraid of going for what he believed in, even though he was old, even though people said his time was past. People say that our time is past, but the revolution might not be there. We have to wait for the younger generation. It's not past. This guy, he majored in economics and sociology, and he graduated with a C grade. A C grade, and he was able to lead America, to lead them to prosperity. And what are we focusing here? We're focusing on people who scored A's. We're focusing on people who went to university, got a first-class honors. We're focusing on people who have mountains and mountains of degrees. This guy was an actor. And he got a C grade. But he was one of the best presidents that America ever had. He was able to see the lies of socialist policies, including things like universal healthcare. The learned ones were the ones who are proposing these things, as they are in Kenya today. So anyway, that was Ronald Reagan. Wanaitu were the real Kenyans. By the way, that's true. Let's go to real life. There is Machakos Level 5, built by Alfred Mutua, as a beacon of development. Just give people free stuff and see what it does. There's this guy on Twitter and he's complaining. He says to Alfred Mutua, please look at Machakos Level 5 hospital. Haina dawa. There's no medicine at Machakos Level 5 hospital. There's another guy. He's called Fred Lau. He says, how many of these machines are operational at Machakos Level 5 after being commissioned? Patients are being referred for basic lab services outside the facility. Big joke. So this is what this guy says. And he says this to Ole Itumbi. This is universal healthcare. Nothing is going on in Machakos Level 5. This is another guy. He's called Mr. Eric. Absolutely nothing. He brought his nephew who needs to see a doctor, who needed to see a doctor from 8 a.m. And all he saw was slay queens with uniforms modeling around. Again, when it comes to socialism, the guys who are in power, they reward other people who might not be qualified. Like this guy seems to see that these nurses are not qualified. That's why he's calling them slay queens. Anyway, lack of medicine, machines, are they operational after commissioning? And then who are being appointed? This is what universal healthcare does. This is what socialism does. It takes away resources, but it pretends that it's giving away resources because there are no medicine. So why have a hospital with no medicine? They give you their machines, but who will operate the machines? Because it's unsustainable after some time. The people who benefit are the people who know each other, perhaps the slay queens. So anyway, in September 10, 2018, Mutua said that that the Machakos, there's a target of 1.3 million people for universal healthcare in Machakos. And perhaps these are some of the services that they'll receive. Lack of medicine, being referred outside of that place for basic services, and services from people who have been put there because of their connections. So anyway, this is the problem. I had looked at universal healthcare back some time back, and these are the problems that I found. Lack of drugs. In Britain, they actually take off expensive drugs from the hospital because they can't afford them, because it's an unsustainable system. Like waiting times, they are terrible. You wait for a long time for a specialist. Like my friend was told that she would have to wait until, I think, was it Tuesday or something, to see a doctor. But then the problem is immediate. And that's what happens when guys get free services. Because when you're paying for it, the doctor will be there because he's looking for the money. The burden on taxpayers. These things, people pay for them. When you understand universal healthcare, you will see that somebody is actually paying for them. You will see that the taxes they keep on increasing, they keep on using, are the things that they use here so that people can receive substandard services. There will be corruption. The people being appointed there will be corruption. I saw it in the US has the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world. The countries that have universal healthcare, right? They don't have pharmaceutical giants. Just one or two in the entire world. The US has most of them. Why? Because it doesn't have this system. India, which does not have these systems, right? It still has one of the best pharmaceutical industries in the world. Because this system, it kills that industry. Why? Because there'll be a lack of drugs. Nobody's buying the drugs because the government won't be able to pay as much as it should, as fast as it should. So what's the incentive to produce these drugs? Another problem that I saw, there will be an importation of doctors, especially specialists. And I'll touch on that, right? And that's what we'll keep on doing. We'll keep on importing doctors. It will be too expensive to train doctors to receive money that is not worthwhile, because now we put the government in there. So there'll be no incentive to produce doctors and invest in training for doctors. So we'll keep on importing. And that has its consequences. So anyway, just moving to the second point. I hope I'm moving fast. Oh, this one is the third one, the last one. Substandard healthcare system, right? The systematic failures that when you do not address, right, the malpractice within the medical profession, when then you exacerbate the problem with universal healthcare, what you'll get is systematic failures that will continue for a long time, and it will have its long-term effects, like we saw, continued importation of doctors, the lack of drugs, the failure of the pharmaceutical industries. That's what happens. Doctors and patients and dependents will feel these effects, because doctors, I'll show the stats later, they'll run away because they don't have enough money in Kenya. Poor services, the system will just break down and they'll just run away. People will stop investing in becoming a doctor because it's too expensive and the reward will be too low, because now the government is the one that's paying, right? The patients, of course, they'll suffer. A breast is amputated, you went in for something else, right? An abdomen is opened, you went in for assist for constipation problems. You were expecting 2 babies, you only got 1 baby because some guy misdiagnosed. Patients will suffer. The dependents will suffer because these things have their cost. Eventually, like what they did in Canada, the waiting time is too high. is too much. So the people who can afford it, they go to the US to see specialists. And you wonder why Kenyan politicians, they always go outside the country. They always go outside the country to receive specialist services, because they have killed, they have ruined the healthcare system here. And that is why people cannot report, because it's the poor who are suffering. That's why we have only 985 cases of complaints. Because first, who would you complain to? Can you be able to sustain a lawsuit? What about a counter lawsuit? We have a problem. So anyway, I wanted to give some concepts in India. It's in Hinduism. They have 4 like central concepts: samsara, dhamma, karma, and moksha. Samsara is reincarnation. Dhamma is the belief that disorder is a constant threat in our world, that we must have order. Now, the problem with Hinduism, right, not Hindus, is that they believe in the caste system. So they want to maintain that order in the caste system. That's why I'm not a Hindu, because I do not agree with the caste system. Disorder is true, is a constant threat. And when you have persistent disorder in the medical system, it's a constant threat, right? To us, like I said, to the doctor, to us as the patients, to the doctors themselves, and to the dependents, the people who will pay for those medical services. It's a threat to all of us. So those cases of the misdiagnosis, we cannot allow them to proceed unchecked. Universal healthcare, we must interrogate that thing. We must understand it, not only hear it. We must understand it, because that's the only way we learn what it truly means. And then there's karma, law of cause and effect. What you reap, you will sow. The actions that you do today will influence your future. And that's the thing, that even if doctors, when there's so many complaints in Kenya, right, and 97% of them are sorted out at the lowest level, right, I believe it's a show that there's a bit of collusion amongst the doctors, similar to the lawyers. When everybody's being arrested on Friday, they don't complain, but when a lawyer is arrested on Friday, that's when they complain. Everybody's looking out for their own. When the doctors, they go on strike, we complain on their behalf. But what happens when it comes to complaints on behalf of patients? How do they handle them? This is Kenya. Anyway, moksha is the ultimate release from the world, where you're free of karma. That whatever you've been doing, now it will not come back to you, because now you've freed your spirit from this worldly kind of living. And that's what doctors need to do. They need to free themselves. Okay, you guys are suffering, you have low pay, but at the end of the day, somebody is getting her breast taken away from her, and she went in for something else, for another issue, right? Somebody is having her abdomen opened, and she went there for constipation. Somebody is expecting 2 babies, she only gets 1. You need to free yourself from worldly concerns, and then you fight. Even if it's your fellow doctor, do not end it at the lowest level. Fight it. Let it reach the national level. Make sure you fight for that patient, and it will come back to you guys. Because you all know, as doctors, I'm sure you guys know this, because I've even seen your union trying to counter the effects that are coming with this universal healthcare. We both know the problems that are going to come with this thing, and we can fight together. But then when you guys are not fighting for patients, how can we fight for you? Because you know the problems that we'll experience with this universal healthcare. Anyway, just trying to finish up. We brought Cuban doctors in Kenya. They'll be earning more than 882,000 per month. An army commander earns 765,000 per month. But we're bringing in doctors from Cuba at 882,000 per month. They'll take that income back to Cuba. Okay, let me just continue. There's a shortage of 442,800 health workers in Kenya, right? And we have sent 50 practitioners to Cuba to receive specialized training. So of course, I know that you don't need, it's not like we need 42,800 specialists, right? But when you guys are bringing 100 Cuban doctors and you're sending 50 to receive training, there's a deficit of 50. Or am I hearing my own things? If it was 100 to 100, that would be, you can argue with that. Because then when these 100 go, the 100 would come back. But if we bring back that 50, we still need 50 from the Cuban doctors. Like Trump said about the Iran deal, this is the worst deal of all deals. Because they're paying them too much. And then we're not even receiving some benefits because it's only 50 people who will go there for training. And we've taken 100 of theirs. So we'll pay for the training over there, help the Cuban institutions improve because now we're providing money for them. And then we're helping these doctors because we're providing cash for them. They'll take that cash back to their homes. There'll be... Anyway, so worst deals of all deals. The Kenya Medical Practitioner Board, it says that there are 1,019 foreign doctors in Kenya, licensed to practice in Kenya. 352 of them, 58 of them are American. 1,000. Keep that figure in mind. 1,000 foreign doctors. Let's just round it off. Okay, and then we have 27 foreign dentists in Kenya. The same board says that we have 11,334 registered doctors. 11,334 registered doctors in a country of 50 million people, and only 6,394 of them are active. Where are the rest? If these guys are the active ones, where are the rest? What is happening? So let's say 6,394 are the active ones, and we have 1,000 foreign doctors. A ratio of 61. 6 active Kenyan doctors to 1 foreign doctor, active foreign doctor. And again, with universal healthcare, we'll keep on importing. So this thing will get worse. It will get worse. Just to finish up, an example of the Cuban doctor they brought, one was a dermatologist and he was sent to Machakos. I never knew, but dermatologists are some of the highest paid specialists. I never knew that. It takes 12 years to become a dermatologist. So the 50 Kenyans we've sent to Cuba, if one of them was trained to be a dermatologist, it will take 12 years. 12 years. That's 2030. And he'll come back as a dermatologist. Or anyway, sometime before. How sure are we that he'll come back after we trained him over there? We could have started this training for a dermatologist in 2006. If we did that, then that guy would be coming back from Cuba today or some other place. But we didn't. Why? Because we are focusing on the referendum. Kibaki betrayed Raila. Raila made sure that Kibaki felt it during the referendum. And then in 2006, we were heading for elections. And then we have the violence. And then we have the Nusumukate. And then now Kibaki is gone, so we have to do politics all over again. So we could have this... It takes 12 years to have a dermatologist. We could have started in 2006. And today we could have had a dermatologist. Or at least we could have known whether he would have stayed. But we're too busy politicking. So now we are sending 50 guys and receiving 100 guys. We're bringing universal healthcare, which would lead to more importation of doctors. We're not sure that those doctors will remain here after they finish in Cuba. Because now, with universal healthcare, the compensation for doctors would be low. So they'd have to go elsewhere. So it's a problem upon a problem. Anyway, that's what I had for today. Kenyan doctors, they have a problem. And they need to deal with it as soon as possible. For our sake and their sake as well. The cases of misdiagnosis, I think I have shown that they are there. Universal healthcare is a problem. I have actually done a video on that specifically. Kenya, we have a substandard health system and you are making it worse. We need to change. Time will tell whether I am right or wrong. In the meantime, millions will suffer. And if I'm wrong, if I'm right, millions will continue to suffer. Let us listen. Right? Anyway, so I think I'll be done at that. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. I'll be fixing my dreads on Wednesday. It's a holiday, so my dreadlock person is not there. So, they'll be fixed. Bye-bye. and take care. I won't be there tomorrow. I'll see you guys on Wednesday, because tomorrow is a holiday, right? I need to relax also. Bye bye.